You can bump into a wild animal anywhere, and it's great to have a camera in hand. This is It's Wild, and today you'll see the most dangerous and unbelievable moments of wild animal encounters caught on camera. Let's start with the footage taken by the surveillance camera. There was a battle between a cat and a coyote on the front porch. This occurred at a time when coyotes have overrun many Texas suburbs. Cat is clearly inferior to the wild predator in size, but it has no intention of giving up. It realizes that engaging in direct combat is not an option, so it tries to outsmart the coyote and hides. The coyote struggles to get it, and when it retreats itself, the cat comes out and tries to scare the coyote, but it's no use. Eventually, the coyote began to push harder and harder, and it seemed as if it was about to massacre the cat. That's right, it could happen at any moment. Then the pet tried to hide higher up and climbed up the beam under the canopy. Coyotes can't climb, so the cat's safe there. But for how long? After all, there's nothing to stand on. The cat can only hold on and rely on the strength of its paws and sharp claws. Fortunately, the furball has enough strength. It lasted about a minute and then collapsed without strength. By then, the coyote was already gone. Coyotes are dangerous animals, but sometimes cats themselves give them a hard time. For example, this coyote snuck into a residential neighborhood, and the cat decided not to wait for the predator to hurt someone. It ran out at it abruptly and chased the dangerous beast away. Next, we have another dangerous member of the Canidae family, the cunning fox. It sneaked into the territory of the house where the cat was peacefully walking around. Of course, at the sight of the fox, it immediately went into fighting mode, arched its back to look bigger, and began to watch the enemy closely. This cat understands that it'll be difficult to fight the fox, so it decided to defeat it by cunning. As soon as the predator tries to attack, the cat itself lunges and scares the opponent. The latter has to retreat and start all over again. But the fox isn't stupid. It understands that the cat is just bluffing, so it doesn't stop and doesn't see the cat as a particular threat. The cat understands this too, so at the end, it decides to run away. It manages to get away from the fox, or rather from two foxes at once. As it turns out, there was a second predator nearby the whole time. Cats confront foxes and coyotes, and dogs confront lions. Sounds crazy, but see it for yourself. A dog came to the place where a lioness and a lion were resting. The big cats woke up and decided to chase the intruder away, but the dog started barking and attacking the predators. They jumped up from surprise. The dog fearlessly started to attack the lioness and the lion. After a short pause, it attacked the animals again. This time it hit the lion particularly hard, which even had to back away from such a defiant opponent. The dog eventually left, and the lion still didn't understand what just happened and how it was even possible. And here's a more fair confrontation: a dog against a lioness. First, the lioness caught up with the dog and knocked it down, but didn't finish it off. The dog recovered a little and decided to take its revenge. It started to attack the lioness, and the lioness had to retreat under such an onslaught. The dog even tried to bite the lioness, but was hit by the lioness's paw. That's it. The dog took revenge on the lioness, and even the second lioness came up, so now it's definitely necessary to leave. And here's a more brazen dog. It's biting the tiger. The dog got a good grip on the spotted cat and only let it go after it hit it with its paws. Then the lion got it, and the dog took hold of the tiger again. The lion took advantage of that and pawed the tiger from behind. What an unusual situation. But really, it's not that simple. This dog is the tiger's adoptive parent that raised it. The tiger perceives it as its mother, so there's no way it would hurt the dog. And this careless dog walked by the tiger, pissed it off, and it dealt with the dog in just a couple of seconds. Okay, let's not talk about sad things. Let's take a look at the next interesting showdown. Here, a northern goshawk swoops down on a chicken and grabs it. The feathers are literally flying in all directions, and the chicken's about to die. But the rooster comes to the rescue and tries to distract the goshawk. But the bird of prey is too strong. The chicken and the rooster cannot cope with it. Fortunately for them, a goat comes to the rescue. It helped chase away the cheeky goshawk, and it soon flew away. The goat and the rooster did a great job, but don't worry about the chicken. It survived and suffered only minor injuries. It might seem that in the last battle, it was the goat that did everything right, and without it, the birds would have been killed. I don't know. The following clip shows that domestic birds can deal with a predator themselves. A chicken and a rooster are walking in a small pen. Suddenly, a hawk arrives. It takes advantage of the moment and attacks the chicken while the rooster is not around. But the rooster hears everything. It rushes in, defends the chicken, and quickly deals with the hawk. The hawk barely survived the onslaught and flew out of the territory in a hurry. Dogs are known for their incredible hearing. These creatures can hear the slightest rustle and react to it. That makes this video all the more amazing. A dog is sleeping and a leopard sneaks up on it. It's just incredible how quietly and carefully the big cat did it. It cautiously walked up to the dog on soft paws and stood right beside it. The dog didn't hear it and couldn't smell it. The leopard stood near the dog for a full 3 minutes. It examined its prey for a long time, and as soon as the dog woke up, it instantly attacked it. The leopard grabbed the dog very tightly and wasn't going to let it go. Soon the animals fell down, and the owner of the dog ran out because of the noise. As he said, the dog survived, even though it was injured. I suggested the dog be rehabilitated. Let this creature avenge its congener. This limping dog waddles straight to the hikers from somewhere, then decides to lie down on the road and rest. Suddenly, a leopard flies out of the bushes at it, but the dog's not confused. It reacted quickly and frightened the leopard with a loud bark. The big cat even spread its paws in bewilderment. The dog told it what it thought of it, and the leopard didn't want to attack at all. In the end, I even felt sorry for the leopard. In this footage, we see a horse and a foal. The ungulates are standing somewhere in a field minding their own business, not even knowing that they're already being hunted. Not far away is the Persian leopard, the largest leopard subspecies from West Asia. It has its eye on the foal, and so it takes advantage of the moment and tries to attack the baby. It knocks the foal down, but the horse immediately covers it with itself and kicks the big cat. The leopard had to run away to avoid being hit a second time. In addition, there was another horse nearby, so it wasn't safe to stay there. Horses in general are much braver and more dangerous than many might think. They can fight not only a leopard, but also an alligator. See for yourself. We see several horses standing near the alligator. The reptile just lies there and is not going to attack anyone, but one of the horses decides to chase the dangerous guest away. The black horse approaches the alligator and tries to stomp on it. The first attack is unsuccessful, but on the second time, the horse hits the alligator with its hooves, hitting it right on its head. The gator didn't have time to defend itself properly, though it tried to bite the horse. Soon the reptile crawled away from such a violent horse. Horses what? Come on, alligators are even afraid of cats. And not big ones like jaguars, but regular pets. Look at this daredevil. This alligator just wanted to eat meat, but the little cheeky predator got in its way. At first, the cat let the alligator eat some, but then it seemed to it that the reptile had eaten too much meat already. The cat wants some too. So it began fearlessly hitting the alligator with its paw and chasing it away. Surprisingly, it worked, and the alligator decided to hide in the water. Here's a similar situation, only there's no meat. The alligator simply crawled out onto dry land where the cat was waiting for it. The furball didn't like the fact that some intruder was claiming its land, and it fearlessly started chasing it back into the water. The cat wasn't going to retreat and was ready to fight, but the alligator decided not to get involved and simply walked away into the water. Suddenly, another alligator appeared, but the cat chased it away as well, pawing it. House cats are really fearless. Alligators aren't the limit, for they can fight even a bear. In this footage, a curious bear approaches the steps where the cat was sitting. Sensing the stranger, the cat barked at it, scaring the bear off. It tried to examine the cat better, but the furball swung its paw sharply and almost hit the bear. Of course, it immediately got away from such a fluffy threat. And here's a more direct confrontation. A bear had snuck into the cat's territory, and the pet decided to chase it away. When the bear ran toward the cat and hid behind a tree, the cat went on the attack and chased the poor fellow up a tree. The bear had to climb high to avoid being hit by the cat. The bear got down from the tree and the video ended. It's unknown how the confrontation ended, so I suggest you share your thoughts in the comments. And finally, let's look at birds again. We see a chicken and its family. They're quietly living their lives when suddenly a crow flies in. Although crows are scavengers, on occasion they hunt and claim chicks of various birds. The mother chicken could not allow the crow to harm its babies, so it started a fight. Although the chicken is considered a weaker and sillier bird than the crow, the bird did just fine. The chicken exhausted the crow, moved the fight to the ground, and began to peck its opponent. Periodically, the crow got up, flew to the fence, and tried to attack again, but was repulsed every time. As a result, it completely lost the battle and did not get the desired chicks. In the end, it calmed down and even stayed in the pen with the chicken. Perhaps they even became friends. Protecting babies in the animal world is not an uncommon phenomenon, but what tourists were able to film in Africa is not something you see every day. In this footage, we see two porcupines protecting their babies from a leopard's encroachment. Usually, porcupines can deal with leopards and other big cats on their own. They don't really need help because predators hurt themselves when they hit their spines. Sometimes a baby can only be helped by its mother, but this kind of double help is something new. Look at how porcupines cover their young babies. As soon as the leopard gets close, they create a sort of spiny wall and prevent the big cat from hitting the babies. The battle lasted about 2 minutes. The leopard never managed to do enough damage to either the adults or the babies, but only pricked its paws and went to look for some other prey. How do you think octopuses react to those which are unpleasant or dangerous to them? Most likely, you immediately remembered the octopus ink that they release in case of danger. But it turns out that they can even fight back with their tentacles. Watch as this fish swims around the octopus, and the octopus twitches its tentacles and chases it away. It's as if the octopus is telling it to stay away from it. It's about the same way we humans chase away those who are not pleasing to us. It's amazing how the animal world is sometimes like ours. And here's a relative of the octopus, the squid. But not an ordinary squid, but a giant one. This is the largest squid on the planet. Representatives of this squid genus can grow up to 50 feet in length. Their eyes are as big as saucers, and the giants can weigh almost 660 pounds. This footage is amazing as people swim with a giant squid near the surface of the water. These cephalopods are very rare to rise so high. They live at great depths, so even scientists can't always find them during their expeditions. And here, ordinary divers were lucky enough to swim with one of the planet's largest creatures. And here's something else very large, a whale shark, the largest of all its shark relatives. It decided to swim up to the tourists on the boat and say hello. Or not? It seems it had another purpose. The shark wanted to be scratched with a brush. It liked it and stayed near the boat for a while. It's quite a rare moment. At the same time, in the seas and oceans, whale sharks often swim with divers because these animals are not dangerous to humans. Unlike predatory sharks, these giants feed on plankton and krill like whales, hence the name of the species. And here's someone else that's very curious and social. A leopard dashingly jumps over a high fence and runs toward the van, jumping on it. I wish I could say that it wanted to make friends with the driver, but you can see that's not true. The driver was lucky he had time to close the window. Otherwise, the aggressive predator could have gotten inside the car. But the leopard didn't leave empty-handed, or empty-pawed to be more precise. It took a small part of the van with it as a souvenir. Have you ever had such a thing that you need to open a glass bottle, but as luck would have it, there's no bottle opener at hand? You try to use different things to open the bottle, keys, a lighter, and so on. But as it turned out, a bird can be a great bottle opener. Watch how this feathered creature easily opened a couple bottles of beer for the author of this video. This is a Kia bird, by the way, and it lives in New Zealand. These birds are highly intelligent, so it's not surprising that the bird figured out how to open the bottle so quickly. Lions are dangerous predators that hunt many animals in Africa, even rhinos. But not always lions hunt successfully. In this footage, something strange happened. A lioness approached a female rhino and its calf. Obviously, it wanted to attack the baby and eat it, but the female rhino doesn't react in any way, doesn't try to protect the calf or chase the lioness away. The calf also doesn't react in any way and ignores the lioness. Predator's confused. It doesn't understand why the rhinos behave this way. Because of this, it doesn't dare to attack. The result is a very strange, sorry excuse of a hunting and rare wildlife footage. But if the female rhino had started sticking up for its baby, the lioness would be in trouble. The rhino's size would play its part. In general, lions have many rivals in Africa. Snakes, for example. Pythons can deal with lions, and they don't even have to be as huge as in this picture. By the way, write in the comments, is it fake in your opinion or not? Here, the not-so-heavy python attacked the lion cub and quickly knocked it down. The cat was almost unable to resist the snake, which began to strangle it. Only the lion cub's adult relatives saved it from death. But venomous snakes are far more dangerous for lions. the black mamba, for example. In this footage, we see a snake making a successful attack against a lion. Often, such attacks end with the death of the predators. The venom spreads over their body, they start convulsing and soon fall silent forever. What else do we know about lions? Well, for example, the fact they're exiled from the pride. You've probably all heard about it, but have you seen it happen? For example, it might look like this. Two young lions drive an old predator out of their territory. The old lion has to obey. Even though it's still strong, it can't defeat the two young males. Now it will have to live out on strange lands, starve, and survive until the end of its days. That's harsh and tough, but such are the laws of nature. Once again, we have a leopard in this episode. This individual is no less curious than the one that tried to get into the van. The leopard is rummaging in the mud, looking for something. It's unclear what exactly it's looking for, but soon it runs away sharply. It turned out that a hippo was lying in the mud a couple of meters away from it. The herbivore had camouflaged itself so skillfully that the leopard couldn't see or smell it. That's what I call a real camouflage. Kuala Lumpur is the capital of Malaysia and a big city with over 1 million people. Here you can find a lot of huge skyscrapers and other modern buildings, but in the middle of the street you can come across a giant lizard. See for yourself. These monitor lizards have moved into the storm drain and they're doing just fine. This is the case where you definitely shouldn't drop your phone in there. No one will go down to the huge lizards to get it. Next, we have another lizard. This is the Komodo dragon, the largest lizard in existence today. These 13-foot-long reptiles can devour just anything, from monkeys, tortoises, to large rodents, to sharks. You don't believe me? See for yourself. A Komodo dragon went to the water, tasted it, and realized that there was a shark somewhere nearby. It found the body of a baby shark and ate it within minutes. Soon the only thing sticking out of the fearsome lizard's mouth was the shark's fin. It's unbelievable how voracious these giants are. Alligators are very dangerous creatures. Their teeth can tear anyone. No one wants to mess with these reptiles. No one except ducks. The unusual footage was taken on a golf course. The cameraman filmed the ducks fearlessly chasing the alligator away. Yes, it's small, but it could have easily finished off all those birds. But as we can see, the ducks are stronger than any alligator. Joking aside, it was probably their territory, so they acted so boldly and confidently. Running away from a cheetah is unreal, is what many people think. And indeed, how can you run away from such a lightning-fast big cat, which can reach speeds of over 62 miles per hour? But sometimes a prey escapes from the cheetah. Take a look at this footage. A cheetah was stalking a gazelle and attacked it, but the gazelle spotted it in time. It ran from the cheetah and then abruptly changed direction. This slowed the cheetah down a bit and confused it. The predator ran a little more and soon stopped. This cat should practice some shuttle running to change direction better. While the cheetah is contemplating its unsuccessful attack on the gazelle, elsewhere in Africa, a lion pride's hunting for a buffalo is unfolding. More than 10 lionesses attempt the African bull. They cling to it, bite it, and try to knock it down. Usually such battles end in favor of the lioness, but this time the buffalo was lucky. Its herd came running to it, and it went to its congeners. Although some of the lionesses followed it, there was nothing they could do against such an army of bulls. Here's a little game for you. We see a moose in a snow-covered park walking somewhere across the lake. Who do you think it'll meet in a few seconds? You can pause the video and share your guesses in the comments. I'm sure you won't guess because it was very unexpected. The moose met the newlyweds. I don't know if they stopped in the park after the wedding or if they were celebrating nearby, but the meeting was very sudden. Lastly, take a look at the bear's rousing dance. Look at how cool this bear moves. It totally puts it in the dance. And this brown bear is not worse, it dances very well. In fact, of course, this is not dancing. But what then? Scientists have several versions on the subject. According to one of them, this is how bears rip the bark off trees and get some sap. Another version says they're just scratching at the trees. But the third version is most plausible. It's how bears mark their territory. After such rubbing, the animal feels like a full-fledged owner of the territory. The author of this video apparently was hunting and climbed higher up the tree to have a good view. But in the end, the animal came to him. A bear approached the guy. First it sniffed the first stairs of the ladder and then tried to climb up the ladder. Bears are good climbers, so it was only a matter of time before the bear got to the hunter. But it was all right. The guy scared the bear away before it got too close to him. Imagine you're sitting in your car in your garage, minding your own business, and you're getting ready to leave when suddenly you see this. Yes, a real bear that appeared out of nowhere and sneaked in unnoticed. This bear frightened the woman who was driving. But the bear wasn't interested in her, as you can see. It was rubbing up against the fridge and hoping to find something tasty. But it didn't work. The woman drove it out of the garage with loud noises, leaving the bear with nothing. Okay, the previous video was rather amusing, but the next one will be really scary. Alessandro, a 12-year-old boy, went on a camping trip with his family, and while his stepfather was filming him, a brown bear appeared right behind him. It began stalking the boy and gradually crept up on him. Alessandro decided to trust his stepfather completely. Stepfather told him how and where to go, and the teenager remained calm, didn't make any sudden movements, and eventually managed to get away from the predator. In general, the bear was not aggressive and followed Alessandro more out of curiosity. But who knows what can be in the mind of wild animals? If the previous video was a great example of how to behave when faced with a bear, this is exactly the opposite. A group of friends found out there was a bear on the street, and instead of walking away, they all went to it. The bravest of them all was scared off by the bear when the man got too close. Yes, it's a small bear, but that doesn't mean it's not dangerous. It could easily cause injury. This encounter with a polar bear scares me, fascinates me, and amazes me at the same time, because these creatures are made of contradictions. I mean it. The polar bear looks so cute, and one wants to pet it, but at the same time it's extremely risky for life because it's the most dangerous and largest of all bears. Just check out its paw, which it tried to hit the camera with. It's bigger than a human's head. Although the author of the video was safe, I'm sure it was creepy for him to film this predator from such a distance. These hikers were walking through the woods and encountered one of their greatest fears. A bear was right in front of them. The grizzly was standing on the trail about 30 feet from them, and at first it even pounced on the hikers. It seemed that it could speed up at any moment, and then people would not have time to escape. But luckily, the bear was not aggressive. It was kind. It decided to go around the cliff and let the hikers pass. They called it a good boy several times in gratitude.
Look at you go.
Well, they were right. The bear's mood can change in an instant. Look, here the bear is just walking in the water, but here it abruptly turns around and runs towards people. You can only envy the people's nerves of steel. They didn't even twitch, even though they were really scared, but it became even scarier when the bear came almost close to them. The main thing is that it never attacked anyone. Why did it run at them in the first place? Apparently, the people were sitting near the place where the bear usually fishes, and so they made it nervous. And the running and attempted attack, according to the author of the video, were just a bluff of the animal. This guy went on a hike to explore a cave in California. He probably didn't expect to find anything useful or interesting there, but at one point he suddenly noticed bear tracks on the ground. Instead of getting out of there as quickly as possible, the guy went forward and soon found a sleeping bear. He had shined his flashlight on it and was not afraid that it would wake up and tear him apart. Apparently, the bear was sleeping very soundly. So the daredevil was lucky. Not only did he survive, but he also took some really rare footage. You should never underestimate bears. They can do many things. For example, they can open doors. Look how it looks like. This bear thought people were being impertinent by filming it so close, so it opened the door and luckily nothing happened, but it's a great reminder of why you should lock your car doors, especially if there are dangerous wild animals nearby. By the way, have you ever wondered how you can chase away a bear when it's too close? You can't just shout loudly or pretend to be dead. As an option, you can use a special bear spray. That's exactly what a wildlife park ranger did on tour. The hikers came across bears. They were unfriendly, and the large black bear was aggressive. At one point, it rushed toward the ranger, but the ranger sprayed a bear spray in front of it, and it worked. The predators instantly ran away. This is truly unique footage. The camera captures a bear walking near the entrance of a house. Suddenly, an elderly couple comes out, and neither the wife nor the husband notices the bear, which is literally a few feet away from them. Let alone the woman, but the man must have seen it with his peripheral vision. It was lucky that the bear wasn't aggressive. I think it itself was shocked that it wasn't seen and that people behave so calmly. But everyone can see this bear, both the author of the video and the cat that's already made an enemy of the predator. The bear continues to stand at the door, sniffing, but suddenly the cat scares it badly. The bear bounced back so sharply that it almost rolled off the porch. The cat did a great job. It's a real protector of the house. But the dogs are just as good. At least here the enemy was seen. But in the next story, it was very different. A surveillance camera caught a big bear sneaking into the house. It made no mess, left no footprints, and did everything quietly and stealthily. It could have torn the owners of the house apart. They wouldn't have expected to see it and wouldn't have had time to repel the attack. If it hadn't been for the dog, that would have been the case. About 10 minutes after the bear appeared, the dog came in with its owner. It could smell the bear and immediately started barking loudly. The dog's owner understood everything, left the house, and went to get help. And in this footage, workers were digging a pit for a construction site or something like that when suddenly they noticed a den of a grizzly bear. It was underground right in the workplace. The workers were frightened of the bear, but the grizzly bear was even more frightened. It didn't understand what an excavator was and why it was so noisy here. The workers helped the bear, they widened the entrance to the den, and the bear broke free. Actually, hibernation is an interesting phenomenon, so I suggest we talk about it in the conclusion of this episode. Keep watching, there will be a lot of interesting stuff. I think everyone knows what bear hibernation is. Bears prepare for it in the fall, then sleep in the winter, and then come back to life in the spring season. This is in short, but if I talk about it a little longer, you can find out some interesting details. For example, not all bears hibernate. Polar bears are awake in the winter. They don't have such a concept as hibernation. This is because their prey, such as fish and seals, are available to them throughout the year. And it's the lack of prey that causes bear to hibernate. In the winter, brown and black bears have practically nothing to eat. So in the fall, they eat a lot, accumulating a layer of fat up to 6 inches thick. The more fat, the better, because afterwards they'll have to forget about food for a very long time. Over the winter, bears lose up to 30% of their body weight. But why don't bears die during hibernation? How can they not eat for months? It's all about metabolism. When a bear hibernates, its body changes. Its metabolic rate is very low, and all processes in the body slow down. After hibernation, bears begin to recover. Their body comes back to normal condition and gradually begins to function as before. For the first time after hibernation, bears generally walk around as if in a fog, trying to recover from long sleep. It's a familiar feeling, isn't it? When we don't get enough sleep, we behave about the same way. Usually, bears wake up on their own, but it also happens that they're awakened in the middle of hibernation. In fact, it's not so difficult to wake a bear up. Although hibernation is different from ordinary sleep, a bear doesn't sleep as soundly as you might think. Surely, many people have heard that we shouldn't wake a bear up, but why? First, the bear will not like the fact that someone interrupts its winter sleep, so it can attack the person who woke it up. Second, a bear that wakes up in the middle of hibernation becomes an insomniac bear. It's already awake, but it has nothing to eat. The body functions as usual, so the bear wanders hungry in winter, looking for food and attacking anything. Such bears are extremely aggressive, unpredictable, and dangerous. This is why bears should not be awakened in order to avoid such situations. In their normal state, bears attack people quite rarely. These predators are not as aggressive and dangerous as many people think. Not many animals can compete with rhinos in terms of power, but elephants certainly can. After all, they're the biggest animals on the planet, which means they have a lot of strength. This elephant has an eye on the car. It didn't like something and started smashing it. The elephant broke the mirror, sat on the hood, dented the body, broke the glass, and tore the bumper. In general, it made fun of the car properly. Look what happened to the car. A similar destruction was waiting this car. The elephant climbed up and literally lay down on it. With no effort at all, it did some serious damage. Bulls. Let's take a look at some other powerful and large animals. Despite the fact that bulls are not predators, it's better not to mess with them. They're extremely dangerous and ruthless in a rage. This footage is reminiscent of the one you and I saw at the beginning of the episode. Remember when the rhino tried to attack the car but ended up only scaring the driver? This buffalo went further. The African bull came up to the moving car and hit it really hard. It was spectacular. And this is a typical safari situation. The tourists had wandered into the wrong area and were confronted surrounded by buffaloes which wouldn't stand for it. The bulls blocked the road. Well, since the driver doesn't take the hint and doesn't turn back, the buffalo has to help him. The bull started ramming the hood and pushing the car. Then it tried to pierce the wheel with its sharp horns. The first attempt was unsuccessful, but with the second attempt, the bull delivered several powerful side blows. Such a trip will be remembered for a long time. And this bull got angry at one of the festivals. It decided to take it out on this off-roader. It kicked it and started lifting it with its horns. It's unbelievable how strong its horns are and how strong it is. Look at the damage it did in just a few seconds. This bull must have been inspired by its congener and decided to outdo it. You know, it did it. Look how it lifts and tosses this car. It looks so cool. But it's not cool when a furious bull not only rams a car, but also tries to get into it and deal with the driver. It looks something like this. The bull stuck its head in the car and hits the body of the car with its hoof. I don't know what the driver did to it, but I personally have never seen such angry bulls. It's worth showing at least some of the predators in action in an episode like this. Let them be lions. These animals don't attack people very often. Usually they take it out on their prey. But sometimes scary and unpleasant encounters with humans do occur. For example, this lion decided to attack a car that was passing nearby. The lion only hit it with its paws, but the two lions really scared the tourists. They had to flee and hit the gas. This lion has acted more cleverly. It didn't rush at once. It cautiously approached the car, got the driver's guard down, and then began biting the body of the car. But the damage was negligible. This lion, on the other hand, was really angry. It grabbed the spare tire with its teeth and drove right along with the tourists. It clearly wanted to kill them, but it couldn't do it while the car was going. The lion drove for 3 minutes in this position and got tired by the end. There was no attack. And here's the real action. An angry lion tried to attack the driver. Look how it got inside the car. It was lucky that it didn't crawl further and didn't continue to attack. Crocodile. Lions don't often hunt crocodiles. These big cats are smart and understand the danger of toothy reptiles. But if there's one crocodile and many lions, why not try? The animals in this video did just that. The lion approaches the crocodile, distracts it, at which point other big cats come around the corner. They begin to bite the crocodile and hold it down. At one point it seems that the reptile's finished, but the crocodiles manage to stand up to the opponents with dignity and repel all the attacks. Now it itself snaps at the lions, and they have to back away and retreat. Porcupine. It's one thing to confront a predatory crocodile. It's quite another to fight a rodent, but it's not so easy when that rodent is the porcupine. Though much smaller than lions, it can give them a lot of trouble. At night, an entire pride of 7 lions decided to hunt the porcupine. But the beast was not about to become the dinner of the cheeky cats. It didn't let them close, put sharp spines to prevent the cats from hitting it, and sometimes made lunges towards the lions itself. The hunt failed completely. Antelope. This is a much more familiar and typical lion opponent. The lioness has knocked the antelope down and begun to sink its teeth into its throat. It seems that the antelope is no longer alive, but this is not the case. It stands up sharply and tries to throw the big cat off it, but it's not that easy. The lioness is firmly holding onto the antelope and won't let it go. Both animals have taken their positions, and now the one that gets tired or loses its vigilance loses first. The lioness was the first. It relaxed a little, and the antelope instantly threw it off. Now we have another antelope. It sits by the watering hole and has no idea that the lioness has already tracked it down. The predator runs towards it and attacks the prey. It has a great position to control. The chances of winning are enormous, but the antelope is not such an easy opponent. The herbivore poked the lioness with its long horns and instantly broke free. Honey badgers. We see 2 honey badgers and a pride of lions. If bets were taken on this fight, many would bet on the lions without a second thought. After all, it's difficult to oppose something to such a numerical advantage, but don't jump to conclusions. The honey badgers look much better. One of them hisses at the lions, and the latter have to back away. Suddenly, the predator grabs one of the honey badgers and even begins to bite it, but the latter has too thick skin. Even 3-inch-long teeth of the lion won't bite through it so easily. The honey badger quickly frees itself and drives the aggressor away. Soon its congener runs up to it and rushes at the lion. The big cat bounces back in fright. Wasn't expecting such a powerful onslaught from 2 small animals. Wild dog. When fighting lions, honey badgers use their madness and impenetrability. The more vulnerable African wild dogs, on the other hand, prefer cunning tactics. Here we see a lioness sinking its teeth into the throat of a wild dog. It seems breathless and completely defeated. The lioness is already carrying its prey off the battlefield, but then another wild dog runs behind it. This was part of the plan. The second dog distracted the predator's attention, it relaxed its guard, and the prey jumped out of its teeth and escaped. All the while, the wild dog was pretending to be dead. To fool the queen of the jungle like that is very cool, no doubt. Warthog. Lions often hunt warthogs, kind of African wild pigs, and such hunts are usually successful. But sometimes the pigs fight back. Look at how this warthog gets away from a lioness. First, it runs in a circular path, but then it turns onto the road and continues to run away while squealing. Even the second lioness couldn't help its congener. The warthog successfully escaped. And here's a similar situation. The lioness tracked down the warthog and attacked it, but it fled. The speed of the adult warthog is about 31 miles per hour. Lions are faster, but like other cats, they get tired quickly. The warthog just needs to hold on and change directions before the lioness is exhausted. Already, after half a minute, the predator slows down and lags behind. And after another 10 seconds, it stops completely and starts breathing heavily. Hyenas. It's one thing to chase warthogs, and it's quite another thing to hunt dangerous hyenas. This lion made a huge mistake. It went hunting alone and stumbled upon the hyenas. The predator ended up right in the middle of the hyena's clan. It's like being in a bad neighborhood at night. Something bad's bound to happen. And so the hyenas begin to surround the lion and laugh maliciously. When the preparations were finished, the predators attacked the lion. They surround it and bite it. Several animals at once try to finish off the king of the jungle with their terrifying fangs. The lion tries to repel the attacks, but it's almost unreal to do it considering such numerical superiority. Fortunately, it's saved by a congener lion, which miraculously happened to be nearby. Had it not been for it, the hyenas would have torn the lion apart within minutes. An even more monstrous mistake was made by the lion in this video. Here we see a huge herd of buffaloes. See what I mean? Yes, the lion somehow got into the center of this herd and tried to attack the bulls, but it was as stupid as possible. The buffaloes didn't disperse, as they often do in such cases, but simply began to throw, trample, and crush the lion. It was impossible to survive in such chaos. After a couple of minutes, the body of the lion was by the water. Let's start with the action right away. The lioness pounces on the zebra from behind and tries to knock it down, but the herbivore is not confused. The zebra began to throw the predator off itself, and at the same time it tried to beat it against the ground. But that's not all. Like Julius Caesar, it does several things at once, and in addition to fighting the lioness, it runs toward the road. The lioness holds on with its last ounce of strength, but still clings to the zebra. After the somersault, however, the predator loosens its grip. The lioness tries one last time to grab onto the zebra, but it breaks free completely and runs away. Cheetah. Next up is a confrontation between two big cats. The lioness made its way into the territory of the cheetahs and got its eye on the cubs of the spotted cat. The female cheetah did not wait for the attack and ran to the lioness first. It distracted it and dragged it away. At that moment, the lioness was attacked by a second cheetah, and the predator started to fight with it. As a result, the rangers of the reserve intervened in the situation and dispersed the animals. But even without their help, the lioness wouldn't have been able to successfully complete the hunt. The cheetahs did everything great. This footage was taken in the same reserve. We see an exiled lion. It's been chased out of the pride and is now just wandering around the savannah. It's wandered into someone else's pride territory, and the neighbor hyenas begin to yell and giggle. Now the other lions know that an intruder has entered their territory. The lioness tried to chase the stranger away, but it sharply humbled it and frightened it just by looking at it. The lion attacked it and roared to stay away from it. I think the intruder was never accepted into the pride, but in the commotion, the rest of the pride managed to catch one of the hyenas for dinner. Lion fights are an integral part of the life of these amazing big cats, but that's not all there is to say about lions. I suggest we finish with the attacks and fights and move on to the facts and interesting information. So keep watching to get to know the lions better. Let's start with the obvious thing. The lion is often called the king of the jungle. In some languages, including English, it's even its unofficial title. But in fact, lions do not live in the jungle. Their main habitats are the African grasslands and plains. Roaring. On these very plains and grasslands, lions can be heard very well, even when they're not nearby. The fact is that the roar of the lion can be heard up to 5 miles away. If the lion tries hard, it will roar with a volume of 114 decibels. This is the approximate volume of the music and the crowd at a rock concert. Prides of lions often roar in chorus, claiming their territory, and even the young lion cubs join in this roar. Lions are generally loud guys. They even sneeze very loudly. See for yourself. Mane. All cats are somehow similar to each other, but only lions have a mane. This is the main feature and trait of males. But why does the lion need such a head of hair at all? The mane is, in fact, an indicator of strength and activity of the animal. The darker the mane, the more attractive the male is to the female. In addition, the mane protects the neck and head of the beast during fights. Finally, looking at the mane, you can estimate the approximate age of the lion. The darker it is, the older the animal. The length of the hair in the lion's mane can reach up to 16 inches. You've seen a lot of footage today of lions attacking and hunting. Many people may think that lions hunt constantly, but in fact it's not their main activity. The main thing is sleeping. Lions are incredibly lazy creatures. Most of the day they rest or sleep. They sleep even more than many domestic cats do. They can stay up to 20 hours a day without action. Food. When the lion is not sleeping or hunting, it feeds. Interestingly, despite the African heat, lions may not drink for 4 to 5 days in a row, getting moisture from a stomach full of prey. But they can't do without food at all. Lions should eat every day. In one sitting, the lion can eat 66 to 88 pounds of meat, which is about 20 to 25% of its weight. But for the most part, the king of the jungle has smaller portions. The lion eats about 15 to 18 pounds of meat per day, and this is quite enough for it. Population. It may seem that there are a lot of lions and that these animals are not in a vulnerable position, but this is not the case. In fact, the lion is considered a vulnerable species, and that's too bad. Now there are about 20,000 lions left in the wild, while only 30 years ago there were 10,000 more. There are fewer and fewer kings of the jungle every year. Some scientists believe that if current trends continue and people do not take proper protective measures, wild lions may completely disappear from the face of the earth by 2050. Rope. Walking on a rope at high altitude is generally something dangerous, and walking on a rope over a reservoir infested with alligators is something completely creepy. But the man on this video is not afraid of anything. He boldly walks the rope, throwing meat to alligators. Of course, the meat will make them happy, but if the guy falls down, he'll become a reptile's dinner. At one point he nearly fell, but he still kept his balance and made it to the end. Now, you're probably wondering, what if a man does fall to the alligators? What would that look like? We'll take a look. We see another daredevil performing in front of an audience. He doesn't just walk the rope, but performs various tricks and moves. He even dances on the rope. But his overconfidence plays against him, and he falls right to the toothy reptiles. One of them immediately rushes after him, but luckily the guy manages to get to the edge, and there he's literally pulled out of the water. What would the movie It have looked like if an alligator had starred in the movie, not Pennywise? I think it would go something like this. A man found an alligator in a sewage drain near his house. The creepy reptile stares into the camera with piercing eyes and scares just by its appearance. And here's another drain fan. According to the author of this video, 2 kids were playing ball near a storm drain, and the ball accidentally fell into it. When they tried to retrieve it, they found such a toothy local. They'll have to forget about the ball now. Enclosure. The alligator enclosures are not as safe as you might think, and this footage is a perfect example of that. A female zoo handler led the tour group to the alligator enclosure, and suddenly the reptile grabbed her arm. Every second counted. The woman could have lost her arm, so the man ran to save her. He forced the alligator to let go of the woman and then tightly squeezed its mouth for about a minute. Soon the hero managed to get out of the enclosure unharmed, and later the reptile was neutralized. The woman was only injured, but she was quickly cured. But the kids were also traumatized, at least psychologically. To see such a creepy scene at such an age is terrible. House. Imagine you're living in a house when suddenly you hear some noise in your backyard. Who might be making that noise? Thieves? Teenagers who have decided to make mischief? What about an alligator? If the house is in the US, it's entirely possible. This alligator caused quite a bit of chaos. The homeowners called in the dangerous reptile capture workers, and they threw some sort of lasso over the alligator to at least neutralize the monster a little bit. But it didn't really help. Then they began to catch the alligator. When one of the workers approached the alligator, it violently bit the cash pot and scared everyone around. Then the workers chose different tactics and began pouring water on the reptile. This helped subdue the predator, and soon they dragged it down the street into the wild. In the US, alligators can be found not only in the backyard of your house, even at sports games. There's no rest from these reptiles. Here, for example, a huge alligator was walking on the golf course. After the walk, the giant stretched out on the lawn. Maybe it just wanted to join the game and ask the players for a club. Road. In the north, deer and moose are often encountered on the roads. In South America, it's common to run into an anaconda on the road. In Florida, the roads are littered with alligators. A German cyclist was shocked to see that alligators can be stumbled upon on the most ordinary road in America. He had to zigzag and be careful not to hit the reptiles. However, the alligators turned out to be polite. All of them politely made their way for the foreign guest. The German was lucky that the alligators were in a good mood. But what if things had been different and the reptiles had been angry? Or what if he had accidentally bumped into the tail of one of them? Then the alligator would have attacked and it would have ended in a death roll. In this video, you can see what it is. The predator grabs its prey and begins to spin vigorously, clenching its teeth tightly. The strength of alligators' jaws is very powerful, so just a few spins are enough to deprive a victim of their limbs. In the same way, crocodiles deal with their prey. This trainer sits in such a position on the alligator's back on purpose, so that the alligator doesn't perform a death roll. But one mustn't forget about the dangerous jaws. The trainer made a mistake and the alligator bit his fingers. Although the trainer tells those around him that everything's fine and that the alligator doesn't hurt him, it's obvious that he's lying. The man had to be helped. The reptile's jaws were unclenched using a lever, a beam, and branches. So strong are the jaws of the alligators. By the way, there's an interesting fact. The muscles with which the alligator opens its mouth are much weaker than the muscles that close it. That's why the very man who rescued the zookeeper in the enclosure in front of the kids was able to hold the alligator's jaws closed. This is also why the trainer was unable to open the reptile's jaws himself. And here's another trainer. He works with crocodiles. He's teaching one of his charges something by prodding it with a stick. But the man made a mistake, angered the toothy reptile, and it attacked him by biting his leg. It looked brutal, but as the author of the video said, the man got off lightly and received only a few unpleasant wounds. Attack. The people in this video were rowing in a canoe on a river in Africa when they saw a crocodile. The crocodile was hiding underwater but came to the surface when it saw the guests. Then the crocodile hides under the water again. Only the waves make it clear that it's swimming towards the tourists. 15 seconds pass and here's an attack. Although it was expected, you have to admit that it looked very sharp and frightening. Jump. And now we're in Australia. The person on the next video is about to bungee jump into the river. The place doesn't seem to be the worst, and the jump was successful. The thrill seeker entered the water, but he entered exactly where a crocodile was waiting for him. And again, we see an attack. Crocodile pounces on the man, who dodges only by some miracle. After that, he immediately swims to the shore and rescues at the very last moment. That's a great reminder why you shouldn't swim in Australian rivers. In Africa, crocodiles prefer to attack animals rather than thrill seekers, and there are plenty of animals. A lion, hyena, a leopard, or a cheetah may visit a crocodile, but now we're looking at buffaloes. An entire herd of African bulls is quenching their thirst and cooling off at a body of water when suddenly one of them is grabbed by a crocodile. It's amazing how elaborate and masterful the ambush was. The crocodile approached as inconspicuously as possible and swiftly attacked. It was unreal to dodge the blow. The toothy creature firmly grabbed the bull, fighting its congeners and tourists, and began to pull it into the pond. The buffalo resists but is losing strength gradually. It's almost in the center of the pond and almost completely in the water. It struggles but then floats upside down. Is it dead? Turns out it's not. Somehow it was able to break away from the reptile and make it almost to the shore. There, the buffalo collapsed without strength. You bet, the fight was grueling and brutal. Okay, I got carried away with crocodiles a bit. After all, they're not alligators, but other animals, though related to them. I suggest we go back to alligators and get to know them a little better. Keep watching. I'll tell you some interesting facts about alligators that you'll love. Let's start with size. Alligators are large, and you've seen that today. Remember at least the alligator that went to the golf course? But in fact, most alligators are not large and are 6.5 to 10 feet long. Larger males can reach 13 feet in length. And one of the all-time record holders, the alligator from the Alabama River, was 15.7 feet long. Crocodiles are much larger. For example, saltwater crocodiles often grow up to 17 feet in length or more. Occasionally, individuals with a length of about 20 to 23 feet are found among them. And Cassius, the largest crocodile on the planet kept in captivity, has a length of 17.9 feet, with a weight of about a ton. Although alligators are not very large, they are very fast. In the water and at short distance, they can speed up to 19 miles per hour and up to 12 miles per hour on land. However, they are sprinters, so they run out of steam very quickly. Aggression. A running alligator is a scary sight, but it's not a fact that it's running to attack you. Unlike crocodiles, alligators rarely attack humans. This is because they're intelligent. They understand that humans are difficult prey, and it's much easier to hunt something smaller. For example, fish, birds, small reptiles, and small mammals. Eyes. The name alligator comes from the Spanish el lagarto, which translates as the lizard. As for me, it would be better if the name came from el gato, which means the cat. I mean it. Just look how the eyes of these reptiles glow in the dark, just like those of house cats. If you shine a flashlight on them, they'll glow red. That's because, like cats, these reptiles have a structure in the back part of their eyes that reflects light to improve night vision. Teeth. Here's an interesting fact. Alligators are considered the toothiest reptiles on the planet, as well as some of the toothiest animals in the world as a whole. An adult alligator has about 75 to 80 teeth in their mouth at one time. Moreover, an alligator does not have them for life. As the teeth wear out or break off, alligators replace them with new ones. As a result, some individuals may grow about 3,000 teeth during their lifetime. Alligators know very well how to use their teeth. They're very sharp, and their jaws are very powerful. The bite force of an adult alligator is about 9,500 newtons. This is an incredible value. Right now, only two creatures in the world bite harder than alligators: the great white shark and the saltwater crocodile. So you definitely shouldn't mess with these reptiles. That's it for today. Which moment of what you've just seen impressed you the most? Let me know in the comments, and thank you so much for watching.